At the Gilded Spoon, tensions boil over when Chef Lucas, a racist head chef notorious for his cruel, degrading treatment of staff, publicly humiliates Maya, a black waitress, in front of a VIP guest. What he doesn't realize is that Maya holds more power than he could ever fathom. And when her true role is revealed, Lucas's toxic reign is on the verge of collapse. As racism, sabotage, and resentment simmer in the kitchen, Maya must rise above the hate and lead the staff in a battle for justice and respect. In this gripping story of resilience, power struggles, and a fight against deep-seated prejudice, will Maya be able to turn the tables on the man who underestimated her? Or will Chef Lucas's toxic influence destroy everything she's worked for? Before we dive into this incredible story, comment below where you're watching from today, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the story. Now let's get started. The clatter of plates and the low murmur of conversations filled the air at Les Etoiles, a restaurant famed not only for its exquisite cuisine, but also for its high-profile clientele. Located in the heart of the city, it was the kind of place where reservations were made months in advance, and the menu read like a love letter to French culinary tradition. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the elegantly dressed patrons, while waiters glided between tables, deftly balancing trays of sumptuous dishes. Maya Thompson stood at her station, her heart pounding in sync with the rhythm of the kitchen. The evening was particularly charged. Not only was she preparing for a busy night, but whispers of a prominent food critic's impending visit added an extra layer of tension. Maya had dreamed of being part of a culinary masterpiece, yet tonight felt more like a pressure cooker, with her future teetering on the edge of a knife. "Hey, Maya!" called out Jenna, a bubbly blonde waitress with an infectious laugh. She leaned against the counter, tying her apron. "Are you ready for tonight? I heard the big cheese himself is coming in." Maya forced a smile, her mind racing. "Yeah, ready as I'll ever be," she replied, though the excitement was mixed with an undercurrent of dread. Chef Lucas Montague's unpredictable temper had made the kitchen a battlefield lately, and the stakes felt higher than ever. As she glanced toward the open kitchen, Maya caught a glimpse of Chef Lucas, a formidable figure with an air of superiority that filled the room. He had a reputation for culinary genius, but it was often overshadowed by his arrogance and blatant racism. His sharp, pointed features were often twisted into a sneer, and his dark eyes bore down on anyone who dared to cross him. He ruled the kitchen with an iron fist, barking orders like a drill sergeant, and anyone who failed to meet his impossible standards felt the sting of his biting remarks. "Make sure the kitchen is spotless tonight," he hollered, addressing no one in particular as he paced like a caged lion. "I don't want any lazy mistakes ruining my reputation because of someone else's incompetence." Maya felt the familiar sting of his words as they hung in the air, palpable and cruel. She had learned to navigate the treacherous waters of the kitchen, but tonight felt different. The VIP guest's arrival had heightened tensions, and Maya could sense the pressure building like a boiling pot on the stove. The weight of Chef Lucas's disdain loomed over her like a dark cloud, threatening to rain down his scorn at any moment. As the clock ticked closer to the VIP's arrival, Maya fought to push her emotions aside. She took a deep breath, focusing on the task at hand. Each table needed to be meticulously set, every dish artfully plated. Her hands moved almost automatically as she arranged silverware, her mind racing with thoughts of her future. She was not just a waitress, she was a culinary school graduate with dreams of owning her restaurant, a goal that felt increasingly distant under Chef Lucas's oppressive authority. "Hey, Maya! You got a minute?" called out her coworker, David, a charming bartender who had a knack for lightening the mood. He leaned against the bar, pouring a glass of wine for a patron. "Sure, what's up?" Maya replied, grateful for the distraction. "I just wanted to check in. You know how Chef can get when he's in a mood. Don't let him get to you tonight. You're too good for that," he said, his voice warm and encouraging. "Thanks, David. I'll try not to," she replied, but doubt lingered in her mind. Despite her determination, Chef Lucas's belittling comments haunted her thoughts. He had a way of twisting the knife, making her question her worth and abilities. As the evening unfolded, the restaurant filled with the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. The atmosphere was electric, but the tension in the kitchen simmered just below the surface. Maya moved with purpose, her heart racing as she attended to her tables. The sight of the elegant dishes being served, the duck confit, the truffle risotto, the chocolate soufflé, filled her with a sense of pride. Each dish represented the hard work and dedication of the staff, but as she glanced at Chef Lucas, she could see his disdain lurking just beneath the surface. "Let's get this straight," Chef Lucas sneered, his voice cutting through the chatter. He stood at the head of the kitchen, glaring down at Maya as if she were an unwelcome intruder. "If you mess this up, I swear, I'll have you scrubbing pots for the rest of your life. I don't need any of your talents ruining my reputation tonight." His words stung, igniting a fire within Maya. She could feel the eyes of her coworkers on her, a mix of pity and frustration swirling around the cramped kitchen. Chef Lucas's racism was a known entity, but it was particularly hard to bear tonight, as she sensed the stakes were higher than ever. "Understood, Chef," Maya managed to say, forcing her voice to remain steady despite the knot tightening in her stomach. As the clock ticked closer to the VIP guest's arrival, Maya steeled herself, determined to rise above Chef Lucas's cruelty. She took a deep breath, focusing on the tasks ahead, but the looming shadow of his condescension hung heavy in the air. Little did Chef Lucas know that his disrespect tonight would not only ignite Maya's resolve, but also set the stage for a confrontation that would change the course of their lives. Finally, the moment arrived. Dressed in tailored suits and exuding confidence, the VIP guest and his party entered, their presence commanding immediate attention. Maya caught her breath as she recognized the guest, a renowned food critic named Henry Delacroix, whose reviews could make or break a restaurant's reputation. "Ah, the lovely staff here," Henry said, glancing at Maya with a hint of recognition that sent a spark of hope through her. "I trust you'll take good care of us tonight?" Maya nodded, trying to suppress the flutter of excitement. "Of course, Mr. Delacroix. It's an honor to have you with us." But before she could take a step back, Chef Lucas interrupted, striding over with an air of authority. "Let me handle this, Maya. Your job is to serve, not to converse with our guests," he snapped, his voice dripping with disdain. The words cut deep, humiliation washing over her like a tidal wave. She could see Henry's eyes narrow, sensing the tension between them. But she held her ground, refusing to let Chef Lucas's racism dim her light. As the evening progressed, Maya poured her heart into serving, all while the chef's comments lingered like bitter aftertaste. She could see Henry watching her, and for a moment she allowed herself to dream. What if he remembered her? What if he recognized her potential? But each time Chef Lucas opened his mouth, that dream felt like a distant flicker of light, overshadowed by the darkness of prejudice. "More wine for the table," Maya called out as she rushed past, feeling the weight of her ambition pressing down on her. She needed this night to go well, not just for the restaurant but for herself. Each dish she served was a step toward proving her worth, not only to Chef Lucas but to herself. As the evening unfolded, tensions escalated in the kitchen. Chef Lucas barked orders, his impatience boiling over as the clock ticked down. The VIP table was ready for their first course, and Maya's heart raced with anticipation. She had worked so hard to prepare for this moment, but Chef Lucas's harsh demeanor continued to gnaw at her confidence. "Get it together, Maya. You're going to ruin everything if you keep daydreaming," he shouted, sending a ripple of unease through the kitchen. Maya swallowed hard, refusing to let the anger and humiliation consume her. She was determined to rise above it all, to prove that she was more than just a waitress in his eyes. As the clock approached the designated time for the first course, she steeled herself, ready to show her worth, no matter how hard Chef Lucas tried to hold her back. Little did Chef Lucas know that his actions tonight would be the catalyst for change, not just for Maya, but for the entire restaurant. The first course arrived, and Maya's heart raced as she served the delicate plates to the VIP table. Each dish was a masterpiece, showcasing the kitchen's talent and passion. Yet despite the culinary excellence surrounding her, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Chef Lucas hovered nearby, his hawkish gaze fixed on her every move, ready to pounce at the slightest misstep. "Remember, presentation is everything," he hissed as she set down a plate of seared scallops in front of Henry. "If you drop one, it's your head on the chopping block." Maya forced herself to smile, her heart pounding in her chest. "Yes, chef," she replied, her voice steady, even as a storm of emotions swirled within her. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of her goal. This was her chance to shine, to prove herself not just to Chef Lucas, but to the entire restaurant and to herself. As the dinner progressed, Maya found herself stealing glances at Henry, who seemed to be genuinely enjoying the meal. His thoughtful critiques were tempered with enthusiasm, and each positive remark sent a thrill of hope coursing through her. She remembered the mentorship he had offered her during her internship, how he had encouraged her creativity and recognized her potential in a world that often overlooked her. "Delicious. You must be the one behind this exceptional dish," Henry said to Maya when she approached the table again. The compliment was a sweet balm to her soul, igniting her determination to show the world her true capabilities. But Chef Lucas was watching, and the tension in the air was palpable. He strode over, his expression darkening as he overheard Henry's praise. "Enough chit-chat," he barked, cutting through the moment like a knife. "Maya, get back to work. We don't have time for your personal fan club." Maya's cheeks flushed, the sting of humiliation washing over her once more. She turned away quickly, forcing herself to focus on the other tables, but the hurt lingered. Chef Lucas's blatant disrespect was a bitter reminder of the uphill battle she faced in this industry. She poured herself into her work, determined to rise above the negativity that threatened to consume her. As the night wore on, the restaurant buzzed with energy. Each course brought a new wave of excitement, and Maya continued to serve with precision and grace. She moved between the tables, offering genuine smiles and engaging in light conversation, all while keeping her composure in the face of Chef Lucas's scorn. But with every passing moment, she felt the weight of his disdain pushing her down. His snide remarks continued, each one digging deeper, each glance more condescending than the last. "Why are you wasting your breath on them?" he snapped when she stopped to check on another table. "Stick to your duties." Maya clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms as she battled the urge to respond. She had fought too hard to let his toxic words extinguish her spirit. Each time he belittled her, she could feel her resolve hardening. She was more than a waitress. She was a force to be reckoned with, even if Chef Lucas couldn't see it. The evening crescendoed with the arrival of the main course, succulent filet mignon with a side of truffle mashed potatoes, each plate a work of art. As Maya served the dishes, she caught sight of Henry's approving nod, the flicker of excitement in his eyes providing her with the motivation she needed. "Perfectly cooked," he remarked, savoring the first bite. "Who's responsible for this?" Maya beamed, her heart swelling with pride. "That would be Chef Lucas, of course," she replied, her voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. But before she could add anything else, Chef Lucas's shadow loomed again, his irritation palpable. "Enough," he thundered, glaring at her. "You're not here to bask in the spotlight. Get back to your station before you screw something up." Maya swallowed hard, the sting of his words cutting deeper than any knife. But this time, instead of retreating into her shell, something inside her snapped. She straightened her posture and met his gaze, defiance sparking in her eyes. "Chef, I'm here to do my job, and I intend to do it well. I'm not going to let your negativity stop me from taking pride in what I do," she replied, her voice steady despite the trembling of her hands. For a moment, silence enveloped them. The kitchen staff paused, glancing between Maya and Chef Lucas, waiting for the inevitable explosion. The air crackled with tension, and Maya felt every heartbeat reverberating through her chest. She had crossed a line, but the fear of his wrath was eclipsed by her growing determination. Chef Lucas's face contorted in fury, his jaw clenched tightly. "You will regret this, Thompson," he hissed, his voice a low growl. But before he could retaliate, the moment was interrupted by the arrival of dessert, a beautifully crafted chocolate soufflé that Maya had spent hours perfecting during her training. "Let's get this right," she called out to the kitchen, her confidence surging. "Dessert is the grand finale of our meal." As she served the dessert to Henry, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was her moment to shine, to showcase not just her skills, but her passion for food. Each bite was an expression of her dedication, and she could see the joy in Henry's eyes as he savored the rich flavors. Remarkable, Henry exclaimed, his voice filled with genuine appreciation. This is a stellar representation of culinary artistry. The praise sent a surge of pride through Maya, and she allowed herself a brief smile before turning back to the kitchen, where Chef Lucas's eyes burned with anger. He was seething, and she could sense the storm brewing behind his steely demeanor. "Finish strong, Maya," she whispered to herself, pushing through the rising tension. This night wasn't just about the restaurant. It was about her journey, her dreams, and the realization that she had the power to shape her future. As the dinner drew to a close, Maya felt a bittersweet sense of victory. Despite the challenges, she had held her own against Chef Lucas. The food critic's approval ignited a fire within her, reminding her of why she had chosen this path in the first place. She had fought against the tide of prejudice and disrespect, refusing to let anyone dim her light. But the battle was far from over. Chef Lucas's fury was palpable, and as the last guests finished their meals and the kitchen began to quiet, she knew that the real confrontation was about to begin. As the evening came to a close and the last guests departed, the atmosphere in the restaurant shifted. The once vibrant energy faded, leaving behind a tense silence punctuated by the clattering of plates and the muted conversations among the remaining staff. Maya busied herself with the final details of cleanup, determined to maintain her focus despite the looming confrontation with Chef Lucas. The kitchen felt like a pressure cooker, the heat still radiating from the stovetops and the smell of rich sauces lingering in the air. She stacked plates with precision, each clink a reminder of her commitment to excellence. But beneath her calm exterior, her heart raced and her mind swirled with the anticipation of Chef Lucas's inevitable backlash. "Maya!" Chef Lucas's voice sliced through the air like a knife. "In my office. Now." Maya's stomach dropped, but she squared her shoulders and took a deep breath, steadying herself for what was to come. She walked into the office, a small, cluttered space filled with half-empty takeout containers and an overflowing calendar filled with notes. Chef Lucas stood behind his desk, arms crossed, his expression dark and thunderous. "Close the door," he commanded, and Maya obeyed, feeling a rush of adrenaline flood her veins. She was acutely aware of the way the walls seemed to close in around her, but she refused to let fear take hold. "Do you think this is a joke?" he spat, his voice dripping with disdain. "You think you can talk back to me in front of a VIP? You have no idea how much you jeopardized everything tonight." "I was doing my job, Chef," Maya replied, her voice firm but respectful. "Henry appreciated my work, and I was just trying to make sure everything went smoothly." "Smoothly? You mean by undermining my authority? You're nothing but a waitress. I don't care how many compliments you get from the guests. You're here to follow orders, not to take the spotlight," he shot back, his eyes narrowing. Maya felt the familiar heat of indignation rising within her. "I'm not just a waitress, Chef. I'm a culinary professional who deserves respect, just like everyone else in this kitchen." "Respect? You think you deserve respect after one night of decent service?" He leaned closer, his voice lowering to a dangerous whisper. "You've barely scratched the surface of what it takes to succeed in this industry. You're in over your head, and I will not let you ruin my reputation." Maya felt the sting of his words, but she refused to back down. "You may not see my potential, but I do. I have worked hard to be here, and I will continue to work hard. I won't let your racism and arrogance define me." Chef Lucas's face flushed with anger, his jaw clenching as he took a step back, visibly taken aback by her defiance. "Watch your mouth, Maya. I can make your life miserable in this kitchen. Do you really want to challenge me?" Maya stood her ground, her heart pounding but her resolve unyielding. "I'm not challenging you for the sake of it. I'm standing up for myself. If you can't see my worth, that's your loss, not mine." For a moment, the room fell silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Maya could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on them both. Chef Lucas's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face before he masked it with a sneer. "You think you're tough," he mocked. "I've seen better cooks than you come and go. You're nothing without my guidance. You're just another face in the crowd." Maya inhaled deeply, willing herself to remain composed. "Maybe I'm just a face to you, Chef, but I refuse to be anyone's punching bag. I'm here to learn and grow, And if that means standing up to you, then so be it. With that, she turned on her heel and walked out of the office, the door slamming shut behind her. The adrenaline coursing through her body fueled her determination. She knew she had crossed a line, but she didn't care. For too long, she had allowed Chef Lucas's toxic attitude to weigh her down, and it was time to reclaim her power. As she re-entered the kitchen, her colleagues looked up in surprise, their eyes wide with curiosity. The usual chatter had faded into hushed whispers, and she could feel the weight of their stares. Maya could sense that word of her confrontation with Chef Lucas had already spread, and while part of her felt exposed, another part surged with pride. "Are you okay?" One of the line cooks, a friendly guy named Jake, asked, concern etched on his face. "I'm fine," Maya replied, forcing a smile. "Just had a little chat with the chef." "A little chat?" "More like a showdown," Jake said, a hint of admiration in his voice. "I saw the way you stood up to him. That takes guts." "Thanks, but it's not about bravery. It's about self-respect," she said, leaning against the counter. "I won't let him make me feel less than I am." As the rest of the staff returned to their tasks, Maya took a moment to gather her thoughts. The confrontation had stirred something within her, a fire that had been smoldering for far too long. She knew that standing up for herself was only the first step in a long journey, but it felt good to assert her worth, to declare that she belonged in this world. But as the night wound down, so did her exhilaration. Maya could feel the weight of Chef Lucas's looming presence, the threat of his retaliation hanging in the air like an ominous cloud. She knew he wouldn't let her defiance go unpunished, and the uncertainty gnawed at her. "Hey, Maya," another colleague, Angela, called out as she stacked some plates. "Are you sure you want to stick around? I've heard rumors that Chef's been looking to get rid of people he doesn't like." Maya's heart sank at the thought. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "There have been whispers about layoffs, especially after what happened tonight." "You really pushed his buttons," Angela said, her expression sympathetic. "I'm not afraid of him," Maya replied, though doubt crept into her mind. "I know my worth." "Just be careful," Angela cautioned. "He's not someone you want to make enemies with." Maya nodded, but deep down, she felt a flicker of resolve. She wasn't going to let fear dictate her choices. The culinary world was filled with challenges, and if she wanted to succeed, she had to confront them head-on. As the kitchen quieted, she finished her tasks and stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. The night was cool, a gentle breeze ruffling her hair as she leaned against the wall, gathering her thoughts. She had always dreamed of becoming a respected chef, and she wasn't going to let anyone, especially not Chef Lucas, stand in her way. "Hey," a voice broke her reverie. Maya turned to see Henry approaching, his expression warm and inviting. "I just wanted to say that I'm impressed with how you handled yourself in there. It takes a lot of courage to stand up to someone like Chef Lucas." "Thanks, Henry," she replied, grateful for his support. "It wasn't easy, but I couldn't just let him belittle me anymore." "I get that. I've seen too many talented people get crushed by egos like his," he said, leaning against the wall beside her. "But you have something special, Maya. Don't let anyone take that away from you." His words filled her with a renewed sense of purpose, and she smiled, grateful for the encouragement. "I won't, I promise." As they chatted, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. Henry's belief in her reminded her of her goals and aspirations, fueling her determination to carve out a place for herself in the culinary world. But even as she enjoyed the moment, the shadow of Chef Lucas loomed in her mind. She knew she had sparked a battle, and as much as she relished the fight, she was also aware of the stakes. The coming days would be pivotal, and she would need to stay vigilant. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, but Maya was ready to face whatever challenges awaited her. With each step she took, she felt her confidence growing, her identity as a chef solidifying. This was her chance to prove herself, and she wasn't going to back down. As she returned to the restaurant, the atmosphere felt charged with anticipation. She was ready for whatever came next, fueled by the fire of her aspirations and the determination to rise above adversity. Chef Lucas may have underestimated her, but she was ready to show him just how wrong he was. The following day, Maya arrived at the restaurant with a renewed sense of determination. The sun filtered through the tall windows, casting warm beams across the polished floors, a stark contrast to the tension she had felt the night before. She was ready to face the repercussions of her confrontation with Chef Lucas, but she also felt a sense of empowerment in her decision to stand up for herself. As she entered the kitchen, the bustling atmosphere enveloped her, and she greeted her colleagues with a nod. The usual chatter and laughter filled the air, but Maya sensed an undercurrent of anxiety lingering just beneath the surface. The whispers about Chef Lucas's mood echoed around her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that today would be pivotal. "Morning, Maya," Jake said, handing her a cup of coffee. "Ready to tackle another day?" "Absolutely," she replied, forcing a smile despite the gnawing apprehension in her stomach. Just trying to stay focused. The hours passed in a blur of chopping, sautéing, and plating as the restaurant prepared for the evening rush. Maya immersed herself in her tasks, determined to showcase her skills and prove her worth. However, her mind kept drifting back to Chef Lucas's threats. She couldn't shake the feeling that he was plotting his revenge, and the tension grew thicker with each passing minute. Just as she was plating a dish for a VIP table, Chef Lucas stormed into the kitchen, his expression dark and brooding. The room fell silent as he scanned the staff, his gaze landing on Maya. The tension in the air was palpable, and she could feel her colleagues holding their breath. "Maya," he barked, his voice echoing against the stainless steel surfaces. "Get over here." Her heart raced as she approached, acutely aware of the weight of his gaze. "Yes, chef?" she asked, keeping her tone steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. "Tonight, we have a full house, and I need you to take care of table 6, he commanded, his voice low and menacing. "You'll be serving the VIP guests, and I expect you to follow my instructions to the letter. No mistakes." "Of course, chef," Maya replied, masking her anxiety with professionalism. "I'll make sure everything goes smoothly." Chef Lucas glared at her, his contempt evident. "You better. One misstep, and you can kiss your job goodbye." With that, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving Maya to grapple with the weight of his threats. She felt the eyes of her coworkers on her, and she forced herself to breathe deeply, focusing on the task ahead. As the evening unfolded, the restaurant filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. The VIP guests arrived, their presence commanding attention. Maya steeled herself, determined to showcase her skills despite the looming threat of Chef Lucas's wrath. She maneuvered through the bustling dining area with grace, her heart pounding as she approached table 6. The guests, a well-dressed couple, greeted her with warm smiles, and Maya felt a flicker of relief. "Good evening. Welcome to the Gilded Spoon," she said brightly. "Can I start you off with some drinks?" As they placed their orders, Maya felt a sense of pride. This was her moment to shine, to show everyone, including Chef Lucas, that she was more than just a waitress. She was a culinary artist. But just as she began to feel confident, Chef Lucas emerged from the kitchen, his presence looming like a dark cloud. He watched her every move, his eyes sharp and unforgiving. Maya could feel the weight of his gaze, and her stomach churned with anxiety. Throughout the dinner service, she worked tirelessly, ensuring every dish was perfect, every guest satisfied. Yet, despite her best efforts, Chef Lucas hovered like a hawk, ready to pounce at the slightest mistake. As the night wore on, tension filled the air. The couple at table 6 was enjoying their meal, but Maya could sense Chef Lucas's impatience brewing beneath the surface. She braced herself for the inevitable confrontation. When the couple requested a special dessert, Maya felt a surge of excitement. This was her chance to impress them with her creativity. "I'll make our signature chocolate lava cake," she suggested, her voice filled with enthusiasm. Chef Lucas's eyes narrowed. "No, you won't," he snapped, stepping forward. "You'll serve them the pre-made desserts. No time for your fancy ideas tonight." Maya felt her heart sink, anger bubbling within her. "But chef, I really think they would appreciate something fresh," she pleaded, hoping to convince him. "Do as you're told, Maya," he replied coldly, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. "Or I'll make sure you regret it." Frustration welled up inside her, but she swallowed it down. "Yes, chef," she muttered, forcing a smile as she walked back to the kitchen. As she prepped the pre-made desserts, her mind raced. She couldn't let this go on. If she had to endure this toxic environment, she would at least show Chef Lucas that she was more than capable of delivering exceptional service. When the time came to serve the desserts, Maya approached the table with a carefully plated chocolate lava cake. "Here's your dessert, made fresh for you," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. The couple's eyes lit up with delight. "Wow, this looks amazing. Thank you," they exclaimed. As they took their first bites, their faces lit up with joy, and Maya couldn't help but smile. She watched as they praised her creation, completely unaware of the storm brewing in the kitchen. But just as she felt a swell of pride, Chef Lucas's voice cut through the moment like glass shattering. "What is this? I told you no more fresh dishes." Maya's heart raced as she turned to face him, her colleagues glancing over with wide eyes. "I thought they would appreciate something special, Chef," she replied, her voice steady. "Special? You think you're some sort of culinary genius? You're a waitress, not a chef!" he roared, his face flushed with anger. "Get back to the kitchen. Now." Maya felt her cheeks burn with humiliation as the couple looked on in confusion. She turned away, tears of frustration pricking at her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wouldn't give Chef Lucas the satisfaction of seeing her break. As she walked back to the kitchen, she could feel the weight of her colleagues' gazes, their silent support evident in their expressions. They knew how unfairly she had been treated, and Maya silently vowed that she would not let Chef Lucas's cruelty define her. That night, as she cleaned up after the chaos of dinner service, Maya felt a sense of resolve solidifying within her. She would no longer allow Chef Lucas to dictate her worth. The next time they crossed paths, she would be ready. The next few days unfolded like a delicate dance, each moment fraught with tension, yet filled with fleeting glimpses of camaraderie among the staff. Maya had become determined to prove her worth, not just to herself, but to everyone who worked alongside her. The culinary world was brutal, and she was ready to rise to the challenge. As she entered the kitchen on another bustling Friday night, Maya was met with an unexpected warmth from her colleagues. Jake and Angela exchanged knowing glances, their expressions filled with encouragement. "Hey Maya, ready to show Chef Lucas what you're made of tonight?" Jake asked, his voice laced with enthusiasm. "Absolutely," she replied, feeling a surge of confidence. "I won't let him push me around anymore." As the dinner service began, the kitchen transformed into a whirlwind of activity. The clattering of pans, the sizzling of ingredients, and the laughter of her colleagues created a vibrant symphony of culinary chaos. Maya felt invigorated, channeling her energy into her work. But just as the night reached its peak, Chef Lucas stormed into the kitchen, his eyes blazing with fury. "What's going on? Why is everything taking so long?" he barked, his voice echoing against the walls. "Chef, we're in the middle of a rush. We're doing our best," Maya replied, standing her ground. He ignored her and turned to the line cooks, berating them for minor mistakes. Maya felt the tension escalate, and she knew she had to do something. "Chef, let's take a step back. We have everything under control," she said, trying to defuse the situation. He whipped around to face her, his expression livid. "I don't need you to tell me how to run my kitchen. You're just a waitress." Maya felt the anger boiling within her. "I may be a waitress, but I'm also a skilled culinary professional. You should start treating me like one." A hush fell over the kitchen as her words hung in the air. Chef Lucas's face turned a shade of crimson, and Maya held her breath, bracing for his retaliation. But before he could respond, Jake stepped forward, his voice steady. "Chef, Maya's right. We're all in this together, and she deserves respect," Jake asserted, his expression defiant. Maya felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. Jake's support emboldened her, and she wasn't alone anymore. "Don't you dare speak to me like that." Chef Lucas snapped, his anger radiating off him. "You're all going to regret this." Maya stood firm, refusing to back down. "If you think intimidation is going to work, you're mistaken. We deserve to work in a respectful environment." The tension in the kitchen crackled like electricity, and the other staff members exchanged glances, their support evident. Angela stepped forward, adding her voice to the chorus. "We're a team, Chef, and if you can't lead us with respect, then maybe it's time for a change." Chef Lucas glared at them, his fury palpable, but as he surveyed the defiance in their eyes, something shifted. With a scoff, he turned away, retreating back to the office. The kitchen erupted into a chorus of relieved laughter, and Maya felt a rush of triumph. "Thanks, guys. I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Anytime, Maya. We're all in this together," Jake replied, clapping her on the back. As the night wore on, the camaraderie among the staff deepened. They worked seamlessly together, buoyed by the shared conviction that they deserved to be treated with respect. Maya felt lighter, more confident than ever before. After the dinner rush, the team gathered for a brief moment of celebration, high-fiving and cheering for their hard work. Maya couldn't help but smile. She had found her allies in the kitchen, and together they were stronger. But as they reveled in their small victory, a shadow loomed over the restaurant. Chef Lucas's presence lingered, and they all knew this confrontation was only the beginning. As the weeks passed, Maya felt a sense of resilience growing within her. She had become a pillar of support for her colleagues, and the dynamic in the kitchen had shifted. They had formed a bond forged in shared struggles, united against Chef Lucas's oppressive leadership. But as the restaurant approached a busy weekend, an unsettling tension hung in the air. The staff exchanged wary glances, acutely aware that Chef Lucas was plotting his next move. His demeanor had grown increasingly hostile, and they knew he wouldn't take their defiance lightly. Maya steeled herself for the challenge ahead, reminding herself of the strength she had found in her allies. The night began with a flurry of activity, and the kitchen buzzed with energy as they prepped for the expected crowd. But as the dinner rush approached, Chef Lucas made his presence known. "All right, everyone, we have a full house tonight, and I expect nothing less than perfection," he barked, his eyes scanning the team with disdain. Maya took a deep breath, determined to maintain her composure. "We've got this, Chef. We're ready," she replied, her voice steady. "Ready for what? To fail? Because if you think you can run this place without me, you're dead wrong," he snapped, his voice dripping with condescension. The kitchen fell silent, the tension palpable. Maya exchanged glances with Jake and Angela, their solidarity a comforting presence in the storm. They knew they had to keep their heads down and focus on the task at hand. As the night unfolded, the restaurant filled with patrons, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Maya worked diligently, maneuvering through the crowded dining area, her heart racing with the thrill of the service. But beneath the surface, the tension was mounting, and she could feel Chef Lucas's eyes on her. Midway through the evening, the unexpected happened. A prominent food critic entered the restaurant, their reputation for harsh reviews sending a ripple of anxiety through the staff. Maya felt the weight of the moment. If Chef Lucas was volatile before, now he would be downright explosive. As she approached the critic's table, her stomach churned with nerves. "Good evening. Welcome to the Gilded Spoon. May I take your order?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. The critic glanced at her, their gaze sharp and assessing. "I'll have the special," they replied, their tone dismissive. Maya nodded and hurried back to the kitchen, her heart racing. She communicated the order to the line cooks, her adrenaline pumping. This was her chance to showcase her skills, and she wouldn't let the critic down. But as the orders flew in, chaos erupted. Chef Lucas's frustration boiled over as he barked orders, his temper spiraling out of control. The kitchen felt like a pressure cooker, and Maya braced herself for the inevitable clash. Just as she finished plating the critic's order, Chef Lucas appeared, his eyes blazing with fury. "What are you doing? That's not how we serve the special," he roared, snatching the plate from her hands. Maya felt a surge of anger. "Chef, I was following the recipe. I put my heart into that dish," she retorted, her voice rising. The tension in the kitchen reached a breaking point as the staff fell silent, watching the confrontation unfold. Maya felt the heat of their gazes, and she knew this was a pivotal moment. "Your heart? You think your feelings matter in my kitchen? You're nothing without my guidance." Chef Lucas spat, his contempt palpable. Maya took a deep breath, gathering her resolve. "I'm not nothing, Chef. I'm a valuable member of this team, and I won't let you belittle me any longer." The kitchen erupted in murmurs, and Chef Lucas's face twisted with rage. "You think you can defy me? I'll make sure you regret this." But just as he raised his voice to retaliate, the critic interjected. "Excuse me, Chef, but I believe it's important for your staff to feel valued. A kitchen thrives on collaboration, not intimidation. Maya felt a flicker of hope as the critic's words echoed through the chaos. Perhaps they could turn the tide. Chef Lucas's face paled, his anger dissipating momentarily. He stammered, taken aback. Chef, if you want your restaurant to succeed, you need to listen to your staff. They're the heart of this place, the critic continued, their gaze unwavering. Maya seized the opportunity, stepping forward. We all want to create amazing dishes and provide the best service possible, but we need respect and collaboration to thrive. The tension hung in the air, and Maya held her breath, waiting for Chef Lucas's response. He looked around the kitchen, his fury now tempered by uncertainty. I'll think about it, he finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. With that, he turned and stormed out of the kitchen, leaving the staff to breathe a collective sigh of relief. Maya felt a wave of exhilaration wash over her as her colleagues erupted into cheers. You did it, Maya, Jake exclaimed, clapping her on the back. I can't believe the critic stepped in, Angela added, her eyes wide with disbelief. Maya smiled, feeling a sense of triumph. They had stood up for themselves, and perhaps this was the beginning of a new era in the kitchen. But as the night wore on, the tension still lingered. They knew Chef Lucas wouldn't back down easily, and the battle for respect was far from over. Maya was ready to fight for her place, and she wouldn't back down again. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the Gilded Spoon shifted subtly but profoundly. The tension with Chef Lucas simmered just beneath the surface, but Maya could feel the strength of her team growing. They had each other's backs, and she no longer felt like she was navigating the challenges alone. The food critic's intervention had sparked discussions among the staff about their experiences. After the shifts, they would gather in the staff room, sharing stories of their encounters with Chef Lucas's harshness and exchanging strategies for standing up to him. Maya led these discussions, her voice steady and filled with resolve. One evening, after a particularly intense dinner rush, Maya gathered everyone in the back. Okay, team, we need to talk about how we can approach Chef Lucas, she began, sensing the nervous energy in the room. We can't let his attitude go unchecked. We need a plan. Angela nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. What if we document everything? Every instance of disrespect or unfair treatment. If we compile evidence, we could present it to the owner. That's a great idea, Jake chimed in. If we can show a pattern of behavior, maybe the owner will take us seriously. Maya felt a surge of optimism. Exactly. We can't just complain, we need to have proof. Let's start keeping a journal and sharing our experiences. The group agreed, and as they dispersed for the night, Maya felt empowered. They were no longer just surviving Chef Lucas's tyranny. They were strategizing for a future where respect was non-negotiable. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the Gilded Spoon shifted subtly but profoundly. The tension with Chef Lucas simmered just beneath the surface, but Maya could feel the strength of her team growing. They had each other's backs, and she no longer felt like she was navigating the challenges alone. The food critic's intervention had sparked discussions among the staff about their experiences. After the shifts, they would gather in the staff room, sharing stories of their encounters with Chef Lucas's harshness and exchanging strategies for standing up to him. Maya led these discussions, her voice steady and filled with resolve. One evening, after a particularly intense dinner rush, Maya gathered everyone in the back. Okay, team, we need to talk about how we can approach Chef Lucas, she began, sensing the nervous energy in the room. We can't let his attitude go unchecked. We need a plan. Angela nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. What if we document everything? Every instance of disrespect or unfair treatment. If we compile evidence, we could present it to the owner. That's a great idea, Jake chimed in. If we can show a pattern of behavior, maybe the owner will take us seriously. Maya felt a surge of optimism. Exactly. We can't just complain, we need to have proof. Let's start keeping a journal and sharing our experiences. The group agreed, and as they dispersed for the night, Maya felt empowered. They were no longer just surviving Chef Lucas's tyranny. They were strategizing for a future where respect was non-negotiable. With that, Maya unfolded the document and began reading aloud. The room was charged with tension as she highlighted the experiences of her colleagues. With each word, Maya could sense the shift in the atmosphere, This wasn't just her fight anymore. As she finished, the room fell silent. Chef Lucas sat back in his chair, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he finally spoke. "I don't have to listen to any of this. If you don't like how I run things, maybe you should find another job." The words stung, but Maya refused to back down. "We're not going anywhere, Chef. We want to work together, but we need you to recognize the impact of your actions." Before Chef Lucas could respond, Angela stepped forward. "This isn't just about Maya. It's about all of us. We deserve to work in an environment that fosters collaboration and respect." Jake chimed in. "We want to be a part of this team, but it has to be a team where everyone is valued. We're not going to let you treat us like this anymore." Chef Lucas's face twisted with anger. "You think you can just walk in here and challenge me? You'll regret this." Maya took a deep breath, fighting against the fear rising within her. "No, Chef. We're standing up for ourselves, and we're not afraid of the consequences." The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, and Maya could see Chef Lucas wrestling with the reality of their defiance. But instead of acknowledging their bravery, he slammed his fist on the desk, sending papers flying. "Get out! I don't have time for this nonsense." Maya felt her heart race, but she held her ground. "We're not leaving until we have your assurance that things will change." "Then you'll be waiting a long time," he retorted, his voice dripping with disdain. Maya and her colleagues exchanged glances, their determination unyielding. They walked out of the office, knowing they had made their stance clear. But as they left, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. In the following days, the atmosphere at the Gilded Spoon grew increasingly charged. Chef Lucas had become even more volatile, launching tirades against the staff whenever he felt challenged. Maya could sense the fear in her colleagues, but they were resolute in their commitment to stand firm against his abuse. One evening, after a particularly brutal shift, Maya gathered her teammates in the staff room. "We can't let him wear us down. We have to keep supporting each other," she urged, her voice passionate. Jake nodded, determination shining in his eyes. "We've come this far. We can't back down now," Angela added. "Let's keep documenting everything. The more evidence we have, the stronger our case will be." As the night wore on, they shared their experiences, reaffirming their commitment to change. Maya felt a sense of unity among them, a bond forged in the heat of battle. They were not just colleagues, they were allies in the fight for respect. But Chef Lucas's retaliation was swift. Over the next few shifts, he singled out Maya, criticizing her every move. "You call this service? It's pathetic," he yelled one night when she accidentally spilled a drink. The words cut deep, but Maya remained composed. "Apologies, Chef. It was a mistake. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again," she replied, her heart racing. But as she turned away, she felt the weight of his gaze, a reminder that this was a fight for her dignity. As the weeks progressed, the situation escalated. Chef Lucas began to isolate Maya from the rest of the team, attempting to break her spirit. He assigned her the toughest shifts, loading her with extra tasks while praising the other staff members. It was a calculated move, but Maya refused to be a victim. During a particularly grueling night, Maya took a deep breath and confronted him. "Chef, I can't work like this. We're a team, and I deserve to be treated with respect, just like everyone else." Chef Lucas's eyes narrowed, and a twisted smile spread across his face. "You think you're special, don't you? You're nothing without me." Maya's heart raced, but she held her ground. "I'm not nothing, Chef. I'm a valuable member of this team, and I won't let you reduce me to that." The kitchen fell silent, and she could feel the eyes of her colleagues on her. Chef Lucas's expression darkened, but before he could respond, Jake spoke up. "Maya's right. We all deserve respect here." With that, the entire team rallied behind Maya, their solidarity shining through. Chef Lucas's fury bubbled to the surface, but the defiance in the kitchen had reached a boiling point. Maya could see the fear in his eyes. He knew he was losing control. In the days that followed, word spread throughout the restaurant. The staff's unwavering support for Maya began to draw attention from regular patrons and fellow employees. People were starting to notice the toxic atmosphere, and whispers of discontent spread beyond the kitchen walls. Maya felt a sense of hope as she walked through the dining area one evening, catching the gaze of a familiar customer. Mrs. Thompson, an older woman who had been a regular at the Gilded Spoon for years, gave Maya a reassuring smile. "You're doing a great job, dear. Don't let him get to you," she said softly. The small gesture fueled Maya's resolve. She was not alone in this fight. With the support of her colleagues and loyal customers, she felt empowered to take a stand against Chef Lucas once and for all. But the looming threat of his retaliation still hung in the air. Maya knew she had to remain vigilant. The battle for respect was far from over. As the pressure intensified in the kitchen, Maya and her colleagues began to formulate a strategy to confront Chef Lucas one final time. They had gathered enough documentation of his behavior, and with the support of their loyal customers, they felt ready to take a stand. Maya called for another meeting with the team. "This is it, everyone. We need to confront Chef Lucas and demand change. We can't keep living like this," she declared, her heart racing. Angela added, "Let's set a date for the meeting with the owner. We need to make it clear that we're serious about this." Jake agreed. "We'll present our evidence and stand united. There's strength in numbers." They agreed on a day to meet with the owner, gathering all the evidence they had compiled over the weeks. The tension in the kitchen was palpable, but Maya could feel the excitement of finally taking control. As the day approached, the staff rallied together, preparing for the confrontation. They practiced their statements and supported each other, determined to remain strong in the face of adversity. When the day finally arrived, Maya felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The owner, Mr. Henderson, was known for being fair but had little patience for workplace drama. Maya hoped he would listen. Gathered in the small office where they had requested to meet, Maya took a deep breath and began. "Thank you for meeting with us, Mr. Henderson. We want to discuss the environment in the kitchen and the treatment of the staff by Chef Lucas." Mr. Henderson listened attentively as Maya and her colleagues shared their experiences, laying bare the toxic culture Chef Lucas had created. The atmosphere was tense, but Maya remained steadfast, knowing they had to speak their truth. After they finished, Mr. Henderson leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "I appreciate your honesty. I had heard some whispers of discontent, but I didn't realize how serious it had become." Maya felt a flicker of hope. "We just want to create a respectful and collaborative environment. We're passionate about our work and want to make the Gilded Spoon the best it can be." Mr. Henderson nodded, his brow furrowing in concentration. "I need to speak with Chef Lucas about this. If what you're saying is true, then we have a problem that needs to be addressed." As they left the meeting, Maya could hardly believe what had just happened. They had taken a stand, and the owner had listened. Now, all they could do was wait for the fallout. The following days were filled with tension as the staff awaited Chef Lucas's response. He had been unusually quiet, but Maya knew he was seething beneath the surface. The kitchen was on edge, and every interaction felt charged with unspoken words. Finally, on the day of the staff meeting, Chef Lucas stormed into the kitchen, his face twisted with rage. "You little snitches! How dare you go behind my back like this?" Maya stood tall, her heart pounding. "We didn't snitch, Chef. We're standing up for ourselves and each other." "You're nothing without me. I built this place," he yelled, his voice echoing off the kitchen walls. Maya felt the weight of her colleagues behind her. "You may have built it, but we keep it running. We deserve to be treated with respect." Chef Lucas's anger erupted. "You think you can just challenge me? You'll all regret this." Maya could see the fear in his eyes, the realization that his control was slipping. But she refused to back down. "We're not afraid of you anymore, Chef. This is our kitchen too, and we deserve to be treated as such." The room fell silent, and for a moment it felt like time stood still. The tension hung in the air, thick and electric. Maya knew they were at a turning point. Either Chef Lucas would have to adapt, or the staff would finally take the stand they had been preparing for. With every breath, Maya felt her resolve solidify. This wasn't just a fight for respect, it was a fight for dignity, camaraderie, and the heart of the Gilded Spoon, and she was ready to see it through to the end. As the tension simmered in the Gilded Spoon, Maya felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Chef Lucas was on the warpath, and his anger had reached a fever pitch. It was clear that the confrontation had shaken him, but instead of addressing the issues, he doubled down on his intimidation tactics. During one busy dinner shift, Maya found herself on the receiving end of Chef Lucas's fury once again. "You're messing everything up! Why can't you get it right?" he barked, his face red with rage as he slammed down a pot on the counter. Maya took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. "Chef, I'm doing my best. We're all trying to work together here," she replied, her voice calm despite the storm brewing inside her. "Your best isn't good enough. You think you can just waltz in here and lecture me about respect? You're nothing but a—" Chef Lucas's words cut off abruptly as he caught sight of the staff members who had gathered nearby, their eyes wide with shock. Maya felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. "You can't keep treating us this way, Chef. We're not going to allow it anymore," she declared, her voice ringing with confidence. The kitchen fell silent, and the other staff members exchanged glances. For a moment, Maya thought she could see a flicker of fear in Chef Lucas's eyes. But then his anger erupted once more, a volatile mix of rage and desperation. "You think you're brave? You're all going to regret this. You'll be out of here before you know it." The threat hung in the air, but Maya felt the support of her colleagues surrounding her. They had each other's backs, and she was determined not to let Chef Lucas intimidate them any longer. "We won't back down. We deserve to work in a place where we are treated with respect. If you can't do that, then maybe it's time for you to go." The challenge lingered between them, a tangible force that shifted the energy in the kitchen. Maya's heart raced, but she stood firm, refusing to let fear dictate her actions. Chef Lucas's face contorted with rage as he glared at her, but she could see a crack forming in his facade. With that, Maya turned to her colleagues, who nodded in solidarity. "We're standing together. No more division. We're a team." Maya felt a sense of unity that had never been present before. They were all in this together, and she could see the courage in their eyes. The next morning, the kitchen staff gathered early, their spirits high, despite the challenges ahead. Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose as she looked around at her teammates, who were all committed to the cause. They had decided to confront Chef Lucas once more, armed with the evidence they had compiled, and they were ready to take their stand. Maya stood at the front, her heart pounding in her chest. "Okay, everyone, today we're going to show Chef Lucas that we mean business. We've had enough, and it's time for change." Angela chimed in. "We need to present our case to the owner again if Chef doesn't respond positively. We can't let him think he can intimidate us." Jake added, "And we need to keep documenting everything. If he retaliates, we need to be ready." With their strategy set, they all gathered their notes and prepared for the day ahead. The tension in the kitchen was palpable as they moved through their shifts, but there was an undercurrent of determination that filled the air. As the dinner rush approached, Maya felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. They had worked hard to keep the kitchen running smoothly, and she knew they could pull together to deliver an excellent service, regardless of Chef Lucas's temper. But as soon as the first orders came in, it became clear that Chef Lucas was ready to fight back. "Get those plates out faster," he yelled at the staff, his voice echoing through the kitchen. "You're all worthless." Maya could see her colleagues tense up, but she refused to let his words affect her. "We're doing our best, Chef. We just need to work together," she said, her voice steady. His eyes blazed with anger. "I don't need your input. Just do your job." The kitchen fell silent, and Maya felt a knot in her stomach. This was the moment they had prepared for, and she knew she couldn't let fear hold her back. "Chef, we are doing our job, but your treatment is unacceptable. We deserve to work in an environment where we feel valued." Chef Lucas sneered, the contempt dripping from his voice. "You think you can challenge me? You're just a waitress. You have no power here." Maya's heart raced, but she took a deep breath. "I may be a waitress, but I'm also a valuable member of this team. We all are." The staff around her nodded, and the solidarity of their support fueled her confidence. "We're not going to let you bully us any longer. We deserve respect, and we will fight for it." The atmosphere in the kitchen shifted, the tension palpable. Maya could feel the energy around her changing as her colleagues began to stand tall, echoing her sentiments. "Enough is enough," Angela shouted, her voice ringing out. We deserve to work in a place where we feel safe and valued. With the courage of her team behind her, Maya took a step forward. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us. We want to create a kitchen where everyone is treated with respect, and if you can't do that, then we will take our concerns to the owner. Chef Lucas's expression darkened, but the weight of their collective defiance seemed to dampen his fury. For a brief moment, Maya thought she could see a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. It was a small victory, but it was enough to embolden her. "Let's stick together, everyone. We can do this," Maya encouraged, her voice strong. As the shift continued, the staff worked with renewed energy. They pushed through the challenges, supporting each other and standing united against Chef Lucas's hostility. Maya felt the power of their solidarity with every order they filled, every plate they sent out. The day of the confrontation with Chef Lucas arrived, and the air was thick with anticipation. Maya and her colleagues had spent the last few days preparing, gathering all their evidence, and rehearsing their statements. They were ready to take their stand. As the dinner rush began, the kitchen buzzed with energy, and the atmosphere felt charged. Maya could sense the tension building, but she remained focused on the task at hand. The time had come to confront Chef Lucas once and for all. During a brief lull in the action, Maya gathered her colleagues. "Okay, everyone, this is it. We're going to present our concerns to Chef Lucas, and we need to stand together. We can't let him intimidate us." Angela nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "We've worked too hard to let him push us around. We're ready for this." Jake added, "Let's remember why we're doing this. It's not just for ourselves, it's for everyone in the kitchen." With their resolve strengthened, they approached Chef Lucas, who was reviewing orders in his office. Maya knocked on the door and stepped inside, her heart racing. "Chef, we need to talk." He looked up, his expression a mix of irritation and curiosity. "What now?" Maya took a deep breath. "We're here to discuss the work environment in the kitchen and your treatment of the staff. We've collected evidence of your behavior, and it's time for us to address it." Chef Lucas scoffed, leaning back in his chair. "What evidence? You think I care about your little complaints?" The dismissive tone made Maya's blood boil, but she pressed on. "This isn't just about complaints. It's about creating a kitchen where everyone feels safe and respected. We've documented specific incidents where you've disrespected us, and we deserve to be heard." He glared at her, and Maya could feel the tension in the room rising. "You're crossing a line here, Maya. You think you can just walk in and demand respect? You're nothing without me." Maya stood her ground, refusing to let his words intimidate her. "I may be nothing without you, Chef, but together we make this kitchen thrive, and we won't allow you to treat us like this anymore." At that moment, Angela stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "Chef, we're not here to fight you. We want to work together, but that can't happen until you acknowledge how your behavior affects us." Jake chimed in, "We're a team, and we all need to be on the same page. If you can't respect us, then we'll take this to the owner." Chef Lucas's expression darkened, and for a moment Maya wondered if he would lash out, but instead he sat back, contemplating their words. The silence stretched on, and Maya felt her heart pounding in her chest. Finally he leaned forward, his voice low and menacing. "You think you can challenge me? I run this kitchen, and I don't take orders from anyone. If you don't like it, maybe it's time to look for a new job." Maya felt a wave of defiance wash over her. "We're not going anywhere. This is our home, and we're standing together." As she looked around at her colleagues, she saw the determination in their eyes. They were ready to fight, and that unity gave her strength. "We're willing to work with you, Chef, but that requires respect on both sides. If you can't do that, we will escalate this matter." Chef Lucas sneered. "Go ahead. I'll make sure you regret it." But Maya stood firm, her voice steady. "We're not afraid of you anymore." With that, they left his office, a sense of accomplishment filling the air. They had taken a crucial step in their fight for respect, and Maya felt a renewed sense of hope. It wouldn't be easy, but they were ready for whatever came next. After their confrontation with Chef Lucas, Maya and her colleagues felt an invigorating sense of empowerment. The tension in the air hung heavy, but they were no longer backing down. They had taken their stand, and now they had to brace themselves for the storm that Chef Lucas was likely to unleash. In the days that followed, Maya noticed a shift in the dynamics of the kitchen. While Chef Lucas continued to be hostile, there was an unspoken camaraderie among the staff. They worked together more closely, their solidarity evident in the way they communicated and supported one another. Maya took on a leadership role, encouraging her colleagues to share their experiences and document any incidents of disrespect. She organized informal meetings during breaks, where they could discuss their feelings and strategize their next steps. Each member of the team had their own story, and as they shared, the weight of their experiences brought them closer together. One afternoon, as they gathered around a small table in the break room, Angela spoke up. "I've been thinking about how we can present our case to the owner. We need to show them that this isn't just a personal issue with Chef Lucas. It's about the culture in this kitchen." Maya nodded, feeling the urgency of Angela's words. "We need to gather evidence of the impact his behavior has had on our work and mental health. We can compile testimonials, document incidents, and create a presentation for the owner." Jake chimed in, "And we need to make sure it's clear that we're not just complaining for the sake of it. We want solutions. We want to work in an environment that promotes respect and teamwork." The team brainstormed ideas, and the momentum built as they developed their plan. They talked about proposing training sessions on workplace respect, team-building activities, and even introducing a system for anonymous reporting of harassment. They were determined to create a positive work culture, and it felt within reach. The following week, they decided to schedule a meeting with the owner of the Gilded Spoon, seeking a formal opportunity to present their concerns. Maya's heart raced with both excitement and apprehension as they prepared for the meeting. They rehearsed their points, ensuring they covered all aspects of their experiences and practiced presenting their evidence. When the day of the meeting arrived, the staff gathered in the owner's office, a sense of unity surrounding them. Maya led the presentation, her voice steady as she outlined the issues they had faced and the changes they wanted to see. "Chef Lucas's behavior has created a toxic work environment," she explained. "We believe that implementing changes in the kitchen can help us build a stronger team and ensure that everyone feels valued and respected." The owner listened attentively, occasionally jotting down notes. As Maya continued, she could see a flicker of concern on his face. "Everyone here is passionate about their work, and we want to create a kitchen culture that reflects that passion," Maya added. "We're not just asking for respect. We're asking for a chance to make this kitchen a place where we can all thrive." The owner nodded thoughtfully, and when Maya finished, there was a moment of silence as he processed what they had shared. Finally, he spoke. "I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to address these issues. I'll take your concerns seriously, and we'll look into the situation with Chef Lucas. We need to create an environment where everyone feels safe to work and express themselves." Relief washed over the group, and they exchanged hopeful glances. They had taken a monumental step, and the owner's willingness to listen was a sign that change might be possible. The days following their meeting with the owner were tense, filled with uncertainty about Chef Lucas's reaction. Maya could sense that he was on edge, his demeanor more volatile than ever. It was clear that he had caught wind of the staff's concerns, and he was not taking it lightly. One evening, as the kitchen filled with the sounds of sizzling pans and clattering dishes, Maya noticed Chef Lucas glaring at her from across the room. She steeled herself, reminding herself of the support of her colleagues. They were all in this together. As the dinner rush intensified, Chef Lucas began to take out his frustrations on the staff. "You call this food? You think this is acceptable?" he shouted, throwing a plate of food against the wall in a fit of rage. The sound echoed through the kitchen, and everyone froze, their hearts racing. Maya felt a surge of anger. "Chef, this isn't helping anyone. We're all doing our best." His eyes narrowed, and he approached her, looming over her like a dark cloud. "You think you can speak to me like that? I'm still the chef here, and you're still just a waitress." At that moment, Maya felt a rush of bravery. We're all part of this team, and we deserve to be treated with respect. If you can't handle that, then maybe you shouldn't be in charge. The tension in the kitchen was palpable as everyone watched the confrontation unfold. Maya's colleagues began to rally behind her, their expressions filled with determination. "Enough is enough, chef," Angela shouted, stepping forward. "We're not going to let you bully us any longer." Jake added, "We're standing together. If you want to take this out on us, then you'll have to deal with the consequences." Chef Lucas's face contorted with rage as he looked around at the united front. The fury in his eyes sparked fear, but it also ignited a fire within Maya. She refused to back down now. "You think you're all so brave? You'll regret this. I'll make sure you're all out of here before you know it." He spat, his voice dripping with venom. Maya felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She knew they were risking their jobs, but she also knew they couldn't keep living in fear. "We're not afraid of you, chef. We're standing up for our rights, and we won't be intimidated." The atmosphere crackled with tension, but as Maya looked around at her colleagues, she saw their determination reflected in their eyes. They were ready to fight for their dignity, and that gave her the strength to face the storm. As the night wore on, Chef Lucas continued to lash out, but Maya and her colleagues remained steadfast. They focused on their work, determined not to let his anger derail their efforts. In the following days, the tension in the Gilded Spoon reached a boiling point. Chef Lucas had turned his ire toward anyone who dared to cross him, and it was becoming increasingly unbearable for the staff. They had stood their ground during the confrontation, but now the fallout was palpable. Maya felt the pressure mounting as Chef Lucas began to retaliate. He scrutinized every move they made, micromanaging their work with an intensity that made the kitchen feel suffocating. The joy they once found in their craft was fading, replaced by anxiety and fear. Despite the challenges, Maya and her colleagues remained committed to their cause. They continued documenting incidents, gathering evidence of Chef Lucas's escalating behavior. They were determined to hold him accountable, but the emotional toll was weighing heavily on them. One evening, after a particularly grueling shift, Maya gathered her colleagues in the break room. "I know it's tough right now, but we can't give up. We're fighting for a better work environment, and we need to stay strong," she encouraged, her voice resolute. Angela nodded, her expression somber. "I'm worried about the impact this is having on our mental health. We can't keep working like this." Jake added, "I think we should consider reaching out to HR again. We need to keep escalating this until something changes." Maya agreed, feeling the urgency of their situation. "Let's compile all our evidence and request another meeting. We can't let Chef Lucas keep treating us like this." As they gathered their notes and prepared for their next steps, Maya felt a sense of solidarity among her colleagues. They were united in their goal, and that gave her the strength to keep pushing forward. When they approached HR for the second time, Maya felt a mix of hope and anxiety. They presented their evidence, detailing the impact of Chef Lucas's behavior on their mental well-being and work performance. The HR representative listened attentively, nodding in understanding. "We take these matters seriously," she said, her voice steady. "We'll investigate the situation and ensure that appropriate action is taken." Maya felt a glimmer of hope as they left the meeting. It was a small victory, but it was a step toward change. They had taken their concerns to the next level, and now it was up to HR to act. As the days passed, the staff continued to support one another, navigating the hostile environment created by Chef Lucas. Maya could feel the tension beginning to ease slightly as they focused on their work, determined to remain professional despite the challenges. And as they worked together, they also began to formulate a plan for their future. They knew that the changes they sought wouldn't happen overnight, but they were committed to standing their ground and advocating for themselves. The atmosphere in the Gilded Spoon shifted once again as the HR investigation began. Chef Lucas was aware of the inquiry, and he seemed to be on high alert. He kept a close eye on the staff, his demeanor still aggressive but now tinged with a hint of desperation. Maya and her colleagues felt the tension in the air, as if they were walking on a tightrope, unsure of what Chef Lucas might do next. One afternoon, the kitchen buzzed with activity as they prepared for the evening dinner service. Maya was on her usual station, focused on her tasks, when she overheard Chef Lucas barking orders at one of the new interns. The intern, a young woman named Sophie, looked terrified as she tried to follow his instructions, her hands trembling. "Are you even listening? I can't believe you got this wrong," Chef Lucas shouted, his voice slicing through the kitchen like a knife. Maya felt her blood boil. She couldn't stand by and watch another colleague be berated. "Chef, that's enough. She's new and doing her best." Maya interjected, her heart racing as she stepped forward. Chef Lucas turned his glare toward her, his eyes narrowing. "You think you can tell me how to run my kitchen? You're just a waitress. Remember your place." The other staff members paused, tension rippling through the room as they watched the confrontation unfold. Maya stood firm, her fists clenched. "I'm not just a waitress, I'm part of this team, and we deserve to be treated with respect." At that moment, the door to the kitchen swung open, and the owner of the Gilded Spoon stepped inside, drawn by the commotion. He surveyed the scene, taking in the tense atmosphere and the heated exchange between Chef Lucas and Maya. "What's going on here?" the owner asked, his voice firm. Maya seized the opportunity. "Chef Lucas is verbally abusing the staff, including our new intern. This isn't just about me, it's about creating a safe environment for everyone." The owner's expression shifted as he realized the seriousness of the situation. He turned to Chef Lucas, his tone stern. "I expect all staff members to be treated with respect. This behavior cannot continue." Chef Lucas's face flushed with anger, but he knew he was backed into a corner. He opened his mouth to protest, but was met with a look from the owner that silenced him. "Let's step into my office to discuss this further," the owner said, gesturing for Chef Lucas to follow him. As they walked away, Maya felt a mix of relief and apprehension. This could be the turning point they had been waiting for, but she also knew that Chef Lucas was not the type to back down quietly. In the hours that followed, the kitchen was filled with a tense energy. Staff members exchanged worried glances, unsure of what Chef Lucas would do next. Maya tried to focus on her work, but her mind raced with possibilities. Later that evening, the owner called a meeting with the entire staff. As they gathered in the break room, Maya's heart raced. She sensed the seriousness of the situation. The owner addressed them, his voice steady but filled with gravity. "I want to assure you all that we take these matters seriously. Chef Lucas's behavior will not be tolerated, and we are working to address the situation appropriately." The staff listened attentively, their expressions a mix of hope and concern. "I understand that this has been a difficult time for many of you," the owner continued. "We will be implementing new training programs focused on workplace respect and conflict resolution. Your voices have been heard, and I appreciate your courage in bringing these issues to light." Applause broke out in the room, a wave of relief washing over the staff. Maya felt tears prick at her eyes as she looked around at her colleagues, who were now united in their quest for a better work environment. In the weeks that followed, the Gilded Spoon began to transform. The owner's commitment to change resonated throughout the kitchen, and the new training programs focused on respect and teamwork brought a renewed sense of hope. The atmosphere shifted, and for the first time in a long while, Maya felt the weight of anxiety lift. The first training session was led by a professional facilitator who encouraged open discussions about respect, communication, and accountability. Maya watched as her colleagues spoke candidly about their experiences, sharing stories that highlighted the need for change. Maya felt a sense of pride as they addressed the issues head-on. The facilitator created a safe space for everyone to express their feelings, and for the first time, Chef Lucas was not the dominant voice in the room. After the session, Maya approached the facilitator. "Thank you for creating such a positive environment. It's a relief to finally talk about these issues." The facilitator smiled warmly. "Change takes time, but it starts with conversations like these. You should all be proud of yourselves for advocating for a better workplace." As the weeks rolled on, the staff began to implement the lessons learned in their daily work. They found themselves communicating more openly, supporting one another, and fostering a sense of camaraderie that had been missing for so long. Maya continued to lead by example, encouraging her colleagues to report any incidents of disrespect and ensuring that everyone felt heard. She felt invigorated by the changes, and her passion for her work began to flourish once again. Meanwhile, Chef Lucas's position in the kitchen became increasingly tenuous. With the support of HR, the owner monitored his behavior closely, and it was clear that he was no longer able to operate with the same level of intimidation. The staff remained united, determined not to let his negative influence return. Maya and her colleagues organized team-building activities, bonding over shared experiences and newfound respect for one another. They celebrated small victories together, from mastering a new dish to successfully navigating a busy service. One evening, after a particularly smooth dinner service, Maya gathered everyone in the break room. "I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge how far we've come. We've built a supportive team, and it's all thanks to your dedication and courage." The group nodded, smiles spreading across their faces. It felt like a family gathering, a stark contrast to the tense environment they had once endured. As the weeks turned into months, Maya noticed a positive shift in her own outlook. She had rediscovered her love for cooking, and the kitchen felt like a place of creativity and collaboration. The staff worked together seamlessly, their passion igniting the atmosphere with energy and enthusiasm. One day, as they wrapped up a successful shift, the owner called Maya into his office. "I wanted to take a moment to recognize your leadership throughout this process," he said, his voice sincere. "Your bravery in standing up for your colleagues has made a significant impact on this restaurant." Maya felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "I couldn't have done it without my team. We all worked together to create this change." The owner nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I'm considering promoting you to a leadership position in the kitchen. I believe you have the skills and vision to help us continue building a positive work culture." Maya's heart soared at the prospect. "I would be honored," she replied, her voice filled with emotion. "I want to ensure that everyone feels valued and respected in this kitchen." The owner smiled, and Maya left his office with a sense of purpose. She knew that this was just the beginning, and she was ready to lead the Gilded Spoon into a new era of respect and collaboration. As time passed, the transformation of the Gilded Spoon became evident not only to the staff, but also to its patrons. The once stressed kitchen was now buzzing with a sense of unity, and the positive changes were reflected in the dishes served. Customers commented on the improved service and the palpable energy in the restaurant. However, not everyone was pleased with the changes. Chef Lucas, feeling increasingly isolated and threatened, became desperate. He sensed that his grip on the kitchen was slipping, and it fueled his anger. Maya and her colleagues continued to work hard, but they remained vigilant about Chef Lucas's behavior. They had heard whispers that he was talking to other restaurants, trying to find a way to undermine the Gilded Spoon. Maya felt a knot of anxiety form in her stomach, but she refused to let it derail their progress. One evening, during a particularly busy service, Maya noticed Chef Lucas pacing near the back of the kitchen, his face contorted in frustration. She exchanged worried glances with her colleagues, who had also picked up on his strange behavior. As the night wore on, it became clear that he was deliberately sabotaging orders, misplacing ingredients, and creating confusion among the staff. Maya felt a surge of anger as she watched him attempt to undermine their hard work. "Enough is enough," Maya muttered to Angela, who nodded in agreement. "We need to document everything he's doing. We can't let him ruin what we've built." Together, they began taking notes on Chef Lucas's actions, detailing incidents where he was clearly trying to sabotage their efforts. It was disheartening to see someone they had once respected resort to such tactics, but they were determined to protect their team. Later that week, during a staff meeting, Maya presented her concerns to the group. "We need to address Chef Lucas's behavior head-on. He's trying to undermine our hard work, and we can't allow that to continue. We need to be united in documenting everything he does." The team nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. They understood the stakes, and they were ready to take action. As the days passed, the tension between the staff and Chef Lucas escalated. He grew increasingly erratic, lashing out at anyone who dared to question him. His bullying tactics backfired, and the staff stood firm, supporting one another and continuing to document his behavior. Finally, one fateful evening, Chef Lucas crossed a line. During a high-profile dinner service, he exploded at Maya in front of the guests, hurling insults and accusations. The patrons watched in shock as Maya held her ground, refusing to let him intimidate her. The owner rushed into the dining room, alarmed by the commotion. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice firm. Maya took a deep breath, knowing this was her moment to speak out. "Chef Lucas is verbally abusing staff members and trying to sabotage our work. This can't continue." The owner's expression hardened as he turned to Chef Lucas. "This behavior is unacceptable. You are creating a toxic environment, and I will not tolerate it any longer." The tension in the room was palpable as Chef Lucas's face twisted in anger. "You can't do this to me. I'm the head chef," he shouted, his voice rising. The owner remained calm, his authority undeniable. "Your position here is no longer tenable. I'm placing you on leave while we conduct a full investigation into your behavior." Maya felt a wave of relief wash over her as the reality of the situation sank in. The owner turned to the staff. "You all have done an incredible job creating a positive environment. I want to ensure that continues. I'll be stepping in as head chef during the investigation." The team erupted in applause, their unity shining through. Maya felt tears of gratitude prick at her eyes as she exchanged smiles with her colleagues. With Chef Lucas placed on leave, the kitchen buzzed with a newfound sense of freedom. The oppressive atmosphere that had once loomed over the Gilded Spoon dissipated, and the staff embraced the opportunity to truly shine. The owner took charge as head chef, working alongside Maya and the team. He encouraged them to share their ideas, fostering an environment where creativity flourished. The dishes they created together became a testament to their hard work and dedication. Maya found herself invigorated by the collaborative spirit in the kitchen. She took on a leadership role, mentoring the newer staff members and encouraging them to contribute their ideas. The kitchen felt like a vibrant community, and she couldn't remember a time when she had been happier. As the weeks passed, the owner's investigation into Chef Lucas's behavior revealed a pattern of misconduct that had persisted for far too long. The staff's documentation provided undeniable evidence, and it became clear that his actions could not be overlooked any longer. One afternoon, the owner called a staff meeting to address the situation. Maya sat with her colleagues, a mix of anxiety and excitement in the air. "After careful consideration and review of the evidence, I have made the decision to terminate Chef Lucas's employment," the owner announced, his voice steady. "I believe this is the best path forward for the Gilded Spoon, and I want to assure you all that we are committed to maintaining a respectful and supportive environment." A wave of relief washed over the room, and the staff erupted in cheers. Maya felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing their hard work had paid off. In the days that followed, the team celebrated their victory. They hosted a small gathering after a successful service, toasting to their resilience and newfound camaraderie. Maya couldn't help but feel proud of what they had accomplished together. As she looked around at her colleagues, she felt a sense of hope for the future. The Gilded Spoon had transformed into a place of respect, creativity, and collaboration, and she was excited to be part of its journey. In the weeks that followed, the restaurant flourished under the new leadership. The menu evolved, featuring innovative dishes that highlighted the talents of the entire team. The positive changes resonated with patrons, and the Gilded Spoon gained a reputation as a welcoming and inclusive dining experience. Maya thrived in her role, leading the kitchen with confidence and passion. She felt empowered to make decisions and inspire others, a far cry from the days of fear and intimidation. One evening, as the team gathered for their pre-service meeting, Maya looked around the room, a smile spreading across her face. "I just want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication. We've come so far, and I'm proud to be part of this amazing team." The staff cheered, their enthusiasm palpable. They were a family now, united in their commitment to creating a positive work environment. As they prepared for the evening service, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. The struggles they had faced only made them stronger, and she was excited for what the future held for the Gilded Spoon and its remarkable team. As the Gilded Spoon thrived under the new leadership, anticipation filled the air for the restaurant's upcoming anniversary celebration. The owner decided to host a special event to honor not only the restaurant's history, but also the staff's resilience and hard work over the past few months. Excitement bubbled among the team as they prepared for the night, and Maya felt a sense of pride swelling within her. Planning for the celebration became a team effort. Maya collaborated with Angela, Sophie, and the rest of the kitchen staff to create a unique menu that showcased their culinary talents. Each dish was infused with creativity and inspiration from their recent experiences, reflecting the unity they had built. "We should include a signature cocktail," Sophie suggested one afternoon during their planning session. "Something that represents our journey." Maya's eyes lit up with excitement. "How about a drink that changes color when you stir it? It could symbolize how we've transformed as a team." The group buzzed with enthusiasm as they brainstormed ideas, each contributing their own flavor to the menu. They discussed the theme of the celebration, rebirth and resilience, and designed decorations that would highlight the restaurant's evolution. As the day of the anniversary approached, the staff worked tirelessly to ensure everything was perfect. They decorated the dining area with flowers and fairy lights, creating an inviting atmosphere. Maya felt a flutter of nerves, but also a sense of accomplishment as she watched her colleagues transform the space. On the night of the celebration, the restaurant was packed. Patrons filled the seats, eager to experience the new menu and celebrate the restaurant's journey. The air was electric with energy as guests mingled and laughter echoed throughout the Gilded Spoon. Maya stood in the kitchen, feeling a surge of pride as she observed her team in action. They moved with confidence, working seamlessly together as they prepared the first round of dishes. The owner approached her, a smile on his face. "You've done an incredible job, Maya. The staff really looks up to you," he said, his voice filled with appreciation. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without them," Maya replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. As the night progressed, guests raved about the food. Each dish was met with applause, and the energy in the restaurant felt infectious. Maya took a moment to step back and observe her colleagues, who were thriving in their roles. They had become a family, and she felt blessed to be part of this journey. Later in the evening, the owner called for a toast. The clinking of glasses filled the room as everyone gathered around. "To the Gilded Spoon," he began, his voice ringing with emotion. "To the resilience of our staff and the power of teamwork. Let's continue to support one another and create a restaurant where everyone feels valued and respected." Cheers erupted, and Maya felt tears prick at her eyes as she raised her glass. "To us," she exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. As the celebration continued, Maya couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the future. They had faced adversity and come out stronger, united in their commitment to one another and to the restaurant they had all come to love. The anniversary celebration marked a turning point for the Gilded Spoon, and as the weeks turned into months, the restaurant's reputation continued to grow. With Maya in a leadership role, the team thrived in an environment where creativity flourished, and the kitchen became a hub of innovation. Maya's confidence soared as she took on more responsibilities, mentoring new staff members and developing new dishes for the menu. She felt empowered to lead with compassion and understanding, always striving to create a positive atmosphere for her team. One day, while Maya was experimenting with a new recipe for a seasonal dish, the owner approached her. "Maya, I wanted to discuss something with you," he said, his expression serious. Maya wiped her hands on a towel, intrigued. "Sure, what's up?" "I've been approached by a few local culinary schools about offering internships here at the Gilded Spoon. I believe it could be a great opportunity for us to give back to the community and nurture young talent," he explained. Maya's eyes lit up at the prospect. "That sounds amazing. We could help shape the next generation of chefs and restaurant staff." The owner nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "I'd like you to lead this initiative. You've shown great leadership skills, and I think you'd be the perfect person to mentor these interns." Maya felt a rush of excitement at the idea. "I'd be honored to help. We can create a curriculum that emphasizes teamwork and respect, just like we've built here." Over the next few weeks, Maya worked diligently to design the internship program. She collaborated with her colleagues to outline the curriculum, focusing on practical skills, kitchen etiquette, and the importance of fostering a positive work environment. When the first group of interns arrived, Maya felt a sense of pride and responsibility. She welcomed them with open arms, eager to share her knowledge and experiences. As the interns settled into their roles, Maya noticed how they brought fresh energy to the kitchen. They were eager to learn, and she felt a sense of fulfillment watching them grow under her guidance. One afternoon, as they prepared for the dinner rush, Maya noticed one of the interns, a young man named David, struggling with a task. She approached him with a supportive smile. "Hey, David, want me to help you with that?" He looked up, his expression filled with gratitude. "Yes, please. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right." Maya took the time to show him the proper technique, breaking down each step. She could see his confidence growing as he practiced, and it reminded her of her own journey in the kitchen. "You're doing great," she encouraged. "Just remember to be patient with yourself." We all started somewhere. As the weeks passed, the internship program flourished. The interns bonded with the staff, and a sense of community developed within the kitchen. Maya felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that they were helping to shape the future of the restaurant industry. Months rolled on, and the Gilded Spoon continued to thrive, thanks in large part to Maya's leadership and the positive changes they had implemented. The internship program became a cornerstone of the restaurant's identity, attracting aspiring culinary talent from all over the area. Maya found fulfillment not only in her work, but also in the relationships she had built with her colleagues and the interns. They had created a family-like atmosphere that was supportive and encouraging, allowing everyone to flourish. One day, as she was reviewing the intern's progress, the owner approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Maya, I wanted to talk to you about something important." "Of course. What's on your mind?" she replied, curious. "I've been impressed with the way you've taken charge of the internship program and how you've fostered such a positive environment. I think it's time we expand this initiative," he said, excitement in his eyes. Maya's heart raced at the prospect. "What do you mean?" "I'd like to partner with local high schools and community organizations to create a scholarship program for students interested in culinary arts. We could offer scholarships for our internship program, providing opportunities for those who may not have the resources to pursue their dreams," he explained. Maya felt a wave of inspiration wash over her. "That would be incredible. It aligns perfectly with our mission to give back to the community." The two of them brainstormed ideas, discussing how they could make the program accessible and inclusive. Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose as they mapped out a plan to create opportunities for young people in their community. As the scholarship program took shape, Maya realized how far they had come as a team. The challenges they had faced had only strengthened their resolve to create a better work environment and a brighter future for aspiring chefs. On the day they launched the scholarship program, the kitchen buzzed with excitement. Maya stood before her colleagues, a mix of gratitude and determination filling her heart. "Today we're not just celebrating the growth of the Gilded Spoon, we're also opening doors for the next generation of culinary talent. Let's continue to support one another and make a difference." Her words resonated with the staff, and they rallied together, eager to embrace the new opportunities that lay ahead. As the months unfolded, Maya felt a deep sense of fulfillment in her work. The Gilded Spoon had transformed from a place of tension and fear into a beacon of hope and resilience. Together, they had created a restaurant where respect and teamwork thrived, and they were proud to welcome others into their culinary family. Maya looked toward the future, filled with excitement for what was to come. They had faced adversity head-on and emerged stronger, and she knew that together, they could continue to make a positive impact on their community and the culinary world. In her heart, she felt a profound gratitude for the journey they had undertaken, and she was ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and determination. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to my channel. I put a lot of love and care into telling these important stories, and your support truly means the world to me. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed day.